I'm Paula, 26F, and I've been living on my own for about 3 years now. I work in marketing and I'm generally happy with my life. My parents divorced when I was 10, which was a difficult time for me. I remember feeling lost and confused, not understanding why my family was falling apart. My mom moved to another state for work, and I stayed with my dad. We were close, and he did his best to be both mom and dad to me. When I was 15, my dad remarried Linda, 45F. At first, I was hopeful about having a new family. Linda seemed nice, and I thought maybe I'd finally have a sister and her daughter, Queenie, 28F. But things didn't turn out the way I'd hoped. From the beginning, Queenie and I didn't get along. She was always jealous of the attention my dad gave me. I remember the first time I noticed it. It was my 16th birthday, and my dad had thrown me a small party. Queenie spent the entire time trying to redirect the conversation to her upcoming college plans, even though she was still a year away from graduating high school. As we got older, things only got worse. Queenie would often borrow my clothes without asking and return them damaged. Once, she borrowed my favorite sweater and returned it with a large coffee stain. When I confronted her, she just shrugged and said, "It's not a big deal, just wash it." She never offered to replace it or even apologize. At school, Queenie spread rumors about me. She told people I cheated on tests or that I was sleeping around with guys. It made it hard for me to make friends, and I often felt isolated and alone. I tried talking to my dad about it, but he always said I was exaggerating and that Queenie was just having trouble adjusting to our new family dynamic. Despite all this, my dad constantly tried to make us get along. He'd organize family dinners and outings, hoping we'd bond. But Queenie would always find a way to make these events about her. I remember one family vacation to the beach where Queenie spent the entire time complaining about the sand, the sun, and how boring everything was. My dad ended up spending most of the trip trying to cheer her up, while I was left to entertain myself. As we grew older, I thought things would get better, but they didn't. Queenie continued to be manipulative and self-centered. She'd often call my dad asking for money, claiming she couldn't pay her rent or buy food. My dad, being the kind person he is, would always help her out. I once overheard him taking money out of his retirement savings to cover Queenie's emergency car repair. When I turned 18 and went to college, I thought I'd finally have some peace. But even then, Queenie found ways to interfere. She'd call my dad constantly, always with some crisis that needed his immediate attention. When I'd come home for holidays, she'd make snide comments about my major, saying things like, "Oh, marketing? I guess not everyone can handle a real degree." I moved out as soon as I could afford it, partly to get away from the drama Queenie always brought into our lives. I limited my interactions with her to family gatherings, which I attended mostly for my dad's sake. Even then, Queenie would find ways to put me down. She'd make comments about my apartment being small, or how her job was so much more important than mine, even though she could never seem to hold down a job for more than a few months. Now, here's where the current situation starts. Last week, I got a call from my dad. He sounded worried and asked if I could do him a huge favor. Queenie had been evicted from her apartment because she hadn't paid rent for 3 months. Apparently, she had lost her job and didn't tell anyone. My dad asked if I could let her stay with me for a few weeks until she got back on her feet. I was shocked and immediately said no. I explained to my dad that I didn't have the space, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, and that Queenie and I don't get along. I also reminded him of all the times Queenie had caused problems in the past. My dad got upset and said I was being selfish. He said that families should help each other out and that Queenie had nowhere else to go. Linda was also on the call and she started crying, saying I was heartless for leaving her daughter on the streets. I stood my ground and refused. I told them that Queenie was 28 years old and should be responsible for herself. I suggested they let her stay with them if they were so worried. This led to a huge argument. My dad accused me of holding grudges and not giving Queenie a chance to change. He brought up times when Queenie had helped me, like when she drove me to the hospital when I had appendicitis, conveniently forgetting that she complained the entire time and left as soon as we got there, leaving me alone. Linda called me ungrateful, saying that she had always treated me like her own daughter. This wasn't true at all. I remembered countless times when Linda had favored Queenie over me. Like the time she forgot to get me a birthday gift but gave Queenie an expensive necklace just because she'd had a bad day at work. The argument ended with my dad saying he was disappointed in me and hanging up. Since then, I've been getting texts and calls from various family members, all telling me I should help Queenie out. My Aunt Karen called me to say I was being selfish and that I should remember all the times Queenie had been there for me, which I couldn't recall a single instance of. My cousin Tom texted me saying I should be more understanding because Queenie had a rough childhood. I wanted to laugh at that. Queenie grew up in a stable home with 2 parents who doted on her. If anyone had a rough childhood, it was me, dealing with my parents' divorce and then Queenie's constant bullying. I'm starting to feel guilty, but I also know that if I let Queenie move in, it would be a nightmare. She's never respected my boundaries and I'm sure she'd take advantage of my hospitality. I remember the last time she stayed over, just for a weekend. She invited friends over without asking, ate all my food without replacing it, and left the place a mess when she left. I can't help but think about all the times Queenie has hurt me over the years. Like the time she accidentally deleted my college application essay from my computer the day before it was due, forcing me to rewrite it in a panic. Or the time she told my high school boyfriend that I was cheating on him, causing him to break up with me. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my stepsister move in with me? Should I give her another chance or stand my ground? I feel like I've given her so many chances over the years, and she's never changed. But now I'm being made to feel like I'm the bad guy for not wanting to help her. I know my dad means well, but I feel like he's been enabling Queenie's behavior for years. He's always made excuses for her, saying she's sensitive or going through a tough time. But what about me? What about the tough times I've been through because of her? I'm torn between wanting to maintain a relationship with my dad and standing up for myself. I love my dad, and I hate disappointing him, but I also feel like I need to protect myself from Queenie's toxic behavior. Part of me wonders if I'm overreacting. Maybe Queenie has changed. Maybe she really does need help. But then I remember all the times I've thought that before, only to be let down again. I don't know what to do. I feel like no matter what I choose, I'm going to end up hurting someone or getting hurt myself. I just wish my family could understand my perspective and stop pressuring me to do something I'm not comfortable with. Edit. Thank you all for your responses. I've read through them and I appreciate the support. To answer some common questions, 1. Yes, Queenie has a history of not holding down jobs. She's had at least 5 different jobs in the past 3 years, always quitting or getting fired for various reasons. One time she quit because her boss didn't appreciate her talents. Another time she was fired for consistently showing up late. 2. My dad and Linda live in a 3-bedroom house, so they definitely have space for Queenie. They're just pushing her onto me because they're tired of dealing with her drama. I think they also believe that living with me might inspire Queenie to be more responsible, which I find ridiculous. 3. I've tried to have a relationship with Queenie in the past, but she's always done something to ruin it. The last straw was when she accidentally spilled wine on my laptop at the family dinner last year, destroying it completely. She never apologized or offered to pay for it. In fact, she laughed it off and said I should have been more careful about where I put my things. 4. Queenie has a history of taking advantage of people's kindness. She once stayed with our cousin for a month, promising to pay rent, but never did. She left owing hundreds of dollars in unpaid bills. I'm going to stand my ground on this. Thank you all for helping me see that I'm not being unreasonable. Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented and offered support. Your words really helped me feel more confident in my decision. After my initial refusal to let Queenie move in, things escalated pretty quickly. My dad and Linda kept calling and texting, trying to guilt me into changing my mind. They would say things like, "Family is supposed to stick together and what would your mother think if she knew you were being so selfish?" My mom passed away a few years ago, so this was a particularly low blow. Then, last Thursday evening, they showed up at my apartment unannounced with Queenie and her bags in tow. I was shocked and angry. I refused to let them in and told them to leave immediately or I'd call the police. My dad tried to push past me, saying they just wanted to talk, but I stood firm. Queenie was crying dramatically, saying I was ruining her life. Linda was berating me for being cruel. It was chaos. Finally, they left, but not before my dad told me I was no longer his daughter. Those words hurt more than I expected. Despite everything, I still love my dad, and hearing him say that was painful. That night, I blocked their numbers and social media accounts. I needed some peace and time to process everything that had happened. I spent the weekend alone, trying to sort through my feelings. Part of me felt guilty, wondering if I was being too harsh. But a larger part felt relieved that I had stood my ground. On Monday, I got a surprise visit at work from my mom's sister, Aunt Paula. She had heard about the situation from my dad's sister and wanted to check on me. We went for coffee, and I told her everything. To my surprise, she was completely on my side. She told me she was proud of me for standing up for myself and setting boundaries. During our conversation, Aunt Paula revealed something that shocked me. Apparently, this wasn't the first time Queenie had been evicted. She had been kicked out of 3 other apartments in the past 2 years, always for not paying rent. Each time, my dad had bailed her out, either by paying her back rent or letting her move back home. Aunt Paula had found out about this from my dad's sister, who was worried about how much money my dad was spending on Queenie. I was furious. Not only had my dad been enabling Queenie's irresponsible behavior, but he had been hiding it from me. All those times he had asked to borrow money from me, claiming it was for home repairs or medical bills, had likely been to help Queenie. I remembered one time when I had to delay buying a new car because I lent my dad $2,000 for what he said was an emergency root canal. Now I wondered if that money had actually gone to Queenie. After talking with Aunt Paula, I decided to do some digging. I reached out to some mutual friends and family members, and what I discovered made me even angrier. Queenie hadn't lost her job as she claimed. She had quit because she didn't like her boss. Apparently, her boss had the audacity to ask her to come to work on time and actually do her job. She had been unemployed for nearly 6 months, lying to everyone about going to work. She had been using the rent money my dad sent her for shopping sprees and nights out. I found out from my cousin Emma that Queenie had been bragging about her new designer bags and shoes, claiming she got a big bonus at work. This was during the time she was supposedly struggling to pay rent. Even worse, I found out that Queenie had been badmouthing me to the entire family. She had been telling everyone that I was selfish and cruel, and that I had always bullied her when we were younger. She told people that I used to steal her boyfriends in high school. Not true, I barely dated in high school because of the rumors she spread about me. She even told some family members that I had cheated my way through college and that my job was just handed to me because of connections. Some family members had believed her, which explained the nasty messages I had been receiving. My cousin Jack had sent me a particularly hurtful message, calling me a selfish bitch for not helping Queenie. Now I understood why. I was hurt and angry, but also relieved that the truth was finally coming out. I decided to write an email to my entire family, explaining my side of the story and revealing what I had discovered about Queenie. I included screenshots of conversations with friends who had seen Queenie out shopping and partying when she was supposedly at work. I also included a detailed list of all the times Queenie had hurt me or caused problems in the past. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Many family members apologized for believing Queenie and treating me badly. My cousin Jack sent a long apology, saying he felt terrible for the things he'd said to me. Some were angry at my dad and Linda for enabling Queenie's behavior. A few still sided with Queenie, but they were in the minority. As for my dad, he finally reached out to me yesterday. He left a voicemail apologizing for his behavior and asking if we could talk. His voice sounded tired and defeated. Part of me wanted to call him back immediately, but another part was still too hurt and angry. I haven't responded yet. I'm still processing everything and I'm not sure if I'm ready to forgive him. Queenie is apparently still staying with my dad and Linda. I've heard through family that she's furious with me for ruining her life by exposing her lies. She's been telling people that I'm jealous of her and that's why I'm trying to turn the family against her. Honestly, I don't care. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I'm considering going to therapy to deal with all of this. I realize now that I've been carrying a lot of resentment and hurt from my childhood, and I want to work through it. I want to be able to have healthy relationships and not let my past experiences with Queenie affect my future. Thank you all again for your support. It's been a difficult couple of weeks, but I feel like I'm finally starting to see things clearly. I'll update if anything significant happens. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected turn. I'm still processing everything that's happened, but I wanted to share with you all. After my last update, I decided to meet with my dad. We met at a coffee shop near my work. The conversation was tense at first. My dad looked older than I remembered, with new wrinkles around his eyes and gray hair at his temples. He started by apologizing again for his behavior, especially for saying I wasn't his daughter anymore. He admitted that he had been wrong to try and force me to take Queenie in. As we talked, my dad broke down. He admitted that he had been enabling Queenie's behavior for years, always making excuses for her and bailing her out of trouble. He said he felt guilty for the divorce and for not being there for Queenie when she was younger, so he overcompensated by giving her whatever she wanted. He also apologized for the times he had borrowed money from me under false pretenses. He promised to pay me back everything he owed. He acknowledged that he had been unfair to me for years, always expecting me to be the mature one and give in to Queenie's demands. It was a difficult conversation, but I felt like we were finally being honest with each other. I told him about how hurt I had been over the years, feeling like Queenie was always more important to him than me. He listened and seemed to really hear me for the first time. We didn't resolve everything in that one conversation, but it felt like a start. We agreed to keep talking and working on our relationship. My dad also said he was going to start setting boundaries with Queenie, which I was glad to hear. However, the real bombshell came a week after this meeting. I got a call from Linda, my stepmom. She was crying and seemed very distressed. At first, I thought something had happened to my dad, but then she started talking about Queenie. Apparently, while going through Queenie's things to help her organize, aka Snoop, Linda found something shocking. There were several credit cards and loan documents in my dad's name that he knew nothing about. Linda confronted Queenie, who broke down and admitted that she had been stealing my dad's identity for years. She had opened multiple credit cards and taken out loans using his information. She had been using this money to fund her lifestyle, including expensive clothes, nights out, and even a secret gambling habit. The total amount she had stolen was over $50,000. Linda was devastated and didn't know what to do. She had kicked Queenie out of the house but hadn't told my dad yet. She was calling me for advice, which was ironic considering how she had treated me before. I was stunned. I knew Queenie was irresponsible, but I never thought she would go this far. I told Linda that she needed to tell my dad immediately and that they should consider pressing charges. The next few days were chaos. My dad was understandably furious when he found out. He and Linda decided to file a police report. Queenie was arrested and is now facing serious charges. The family is divided. Some think my dad and Linda should drop the charges and help Queenie, while others, including me, think she needs to face the consequences of her actions. My Aunt Karen, who had previously criticized me for not helping Queenie, called to apologize and express her shock at what Queenie had done. My relationship with my dad is slowly improving. He's realized how much damage his favoritism has caused and is working on making amends. He's also started therapy to deal with his guilt and to learn how to set healthy boundaries. We've been having weekly dinners together, just the two of us, to rebuild our relationship. Linda and I have also been talking more. She's apologized for her past behavior and for believing Queenie's lies about me. While we'll never have a mother-daughter relationship, we're working on building a respectful friendship. She's been keeping me updated on the situation with Queenie and the legal proceedings. As for me, I'm still processing everything. I've started therapy as well, which is helping me deal with the years of resentment and hurt. I'm also working on rebuilding relationships with family members who have believed Queenie's lies about me. It's been a slow process, but I'm starting to feel more connected to my extended family. Queenie is currently out on bail, staying with a friend. She's tried to contact me a few times, alternating between begging for help and blaming me for ruining her life. I've blocked her number and all her social media accounts. I've made it clear to my dad and Linda that I don't want any contact with her. This whole situation has been a wake-up call for our entire family. It's shown us how destructive enabling behavior can be and the importance of honesty and accountability. Many family members have reached out to apologize for not seeing the truth about Queenie sooner. I'll update again if there are any major developments with Queenie's case or my family situation. Thank you all for your continued support. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share the latest developments with you all. Queenie's court case has concluded. She pleaded guilty to identity theft and fraud charges. The judge sentenced her to 18 months in prison, followed by 3 years of probation. She's also required to pay back all the money she stole from my dad. The sentencing was hard on everyone. My dad struggled with seeing Queenie led away in handcuffs, but he stood firm in his decision to press charges. Linda was emotional but supportive of my dad's decision. Some family members still think they should have gone easier on Queenie, but most understand that she needed to face consequences for her actions. My dad and Linda initially struggled with the decision to go through with the charges, but ultimately decided it was necessary for Queenie to face the consequences of her actions. They're hoping that this will be a wake-up call for her to turn her life around. They've been attending support groups for parents of adult children with addiction and behavioral issues, which seems to be helping them cope. As for my relationship with my dad, it's been a journey of healing. We've been attending family therapy sessions together, which have been incredibly helpful. He's finally understanding the impact his favoritism had on me and is making genuine efforts to repair our relationship. We're not completely there yet, but we're making progress. We've started a tradition of monthly adventure days where we try new activities together, like rock climbing or cooking classes. It's been a great way to rebuild our bond. Linda and I have also had some heartfelt conversations. She's apologized for her past behavior and for believing Queenie's lies about me. While we'll never have a mother-daughter relationship, we're working on building a respectful friendship. We've even started volunteering together at a local animal shelter, which has given us a chance to connect over something positive. The rest of the family has largely come around. Those who initially sided with Queenie have apologized, and we're slowly rebuilding trust. It's been a difficult process, but it feels like we're becoming a stronger family unit. We recently had a family reunion, and for the first time in years, I felt truly included and valued. As for me, I'm doing well. Therapy has been incredibly helpful in processing everything that's happened. I've learned to set better boundaries and to value myself more. I've also received a promotion at work, which I'm excited about. I'm focusing on my career and my personal growth, and I feel more confident and at peace than I have in years. I've taken up new hobbies, like yoga and painting, which have been great for stress relief. I've also been traveling more, something I always wanted to do but never felt I could because of family obligations. Last month, I took a solo trip to Europe, which was an amazing experience. I've had no contact with Queenie since she went to prison, and I plan to keep it that way. I've forgiven her for my own peace of mind, but I have no desire to have her in my life again. My dad and Linda respect my decision, though they're still struggling with how to handle their relationship with Queenie once she's released. This whole experience has taught me valuable lessons about setting boundaries, the importance of honesty, and the dangers of enabling toxic behavior. While it's been a difficult journey, I'm grateful for the growth and healing it's brought. Thank you all for your support throughout this ordeal. Your advice and kind words have been a source of strength for me. I'm looking forward to the future with optimism and a renewed sense of self-worth.